Now, when you own a home, you should be building wealth. But for many, rising taxes and mortgage payments eat up the equity before they can even build it. Some push to stay ahead. Others feel like they're losing ground. I'm Mike, the property tax guy. I'm a realtor and appraiser, and I also work for the assessor's office. These are their stories.
Hearing some politician tell me I don't really own my own home because of property taxes is infuriating. Yeah, property taxes, government's dirty little shakedown. It begs one question: what in the actual hell is that about? There's this guy in Pennsylvania, Russ Diamond, who's really nailed it. Boiled down to its very essence, fulfilling the promise of personal liberty is impossible if you can't actually own a piece of real property. Damn straight he's right. Property taxes aren't just a bill. They're a boot on your neck, and it's time we kicked it off. Picture this. You've busted your hump for years. Pouring concrete, driving trucks, teaching kids, whatever the hell it is you do. You save up money, buy a house, maybe even pay it off. You're thinking, this is mine. I've earned it. And then some tax man rolls up like a sleazy landlord saying, nice place you got here. Fork over a couple grand every year or we're taking it. That's not ownership, folks. That's renting your own damn house from the government. And if you don't pay, they sell it to the highest bidder faster than you can say foreclosure. It's a shakedown, plain and simple, and it's about as anti-liberty as it gets. It's a big lie. We need the money. The suits in the State House will tell you property taxes are the only way to keep the lights on. Schools, roads, fire trucks, the whole deal. I call BS. That's nonsense. I've been to places like Florida and Tennessee where they're raking in cash from sales taxes and tourism while keeping property taxes low. Their roads aren't crumbling, their kids aren't fucking illiterate, and the firehouses aren't shuttered. Meanwhile, high tax dumps like Cleveland are bleeding people faster than a stuck pig. The truth is, states don't need property taxes, they want them.
And I'm gonna stop right. I've been letting it go for a little bit. I've been letting it go for a while. But property taxes, yes, everybody's not happy about them. It's been going on forever. Property taxes, I always say, been around since ancient Egypt. It's here to stay and ain't going nowhere. Uh, I hate it too, but it's the society we live in. What I hate more is that the money that I earn from an income, the federal government and the state government can take it and use it for whatever services or political beliefs they have that I don't share. But they take it. I mean, what can I do? They take it. And it's used to fund things that I don't care about. Now I understand funding things like the military and different things of that nature. But it's the same way how I understand now. You gotta think about it. Your local government isn't taking anything from your check. They're taking that from your check when it comes down to where you live at, your property taxes, and it's funding the schools and roads. Now, like he said, I'm gonna stop him right there when he said Florida and Tennessee. Now, Tennessee, I don't know about them. I don't know anybody going to, oh, let's go to Memphis. No, nobody's saying that. No disrespect to Memphis, but people are going to Florida. You know what I'm saying? People are going to Florida, and the thing about it, Florida brings in roughly $360 billion in tax revenue and property tax. I'm sorry, in tourism. So a state like Florida can do it. The governor Ron DeSantis, I believe is his name. He's talking about doing it. He's talking about abolishing all property taxes for the state of Florida. But the thing is how can he do that? The thing about it, the reason why they can even consider something like that, and it's a very strong consideration, is because they bring in that money. What other state is bringing in $360 billion in, not in sales tax? I don't know what he was talking about when he said sales tax, but in tourism revenue. That was out of the governor's mouth himself. That was out of the next governor running up, Byron McDonald. He talked about that too as well. They can actually consider something like that. People are going to Disney World. People are going to Universal Studios, all the other types of tourism. I don't see nobody saying, let's go to Memphis for vacation or let's go to Tennessee. You know what I'm saying? Like, people go to Tennessee. I've been to Tennessee before. Been to Memphis, Nashville, different things like that. But nobody's going there. Like, it's not a heavy tourism attraction place. So a lot of states don't really have that type of availability to do that. Now, California maybe, but it's going to things that shouldn't be going through. Same thing with New York. Same thing there. They have budget deficits. And these are the two states with the highest income. You know what I'm saying? They're like global meccas for the world, like Los Angeles and New York City and things of that nature. But it's like so much corruption going there, not just within the city, but in the state itself. So, but the thing about Florida is Florida can do something like that. And Florida will be the first state to lead the way, but other states really won't be able to follow suit because they don't have a heavy tourism attraction area. Now, should states invest in having tourism attraction? Yeah. Virginia, the state I live in, has some of the most historical things, but nobody capitalizes off of that. And that's why capitalism may be a good thing, because you have to capitalize off that, because you bring in tourism, you may consider abolishing all property taxes too as well, because when you abolish all property taxes, you have to be able to make up for that income that the local government is going to need to function, so you won't be driving in a 1940 Ford truck on a dirt road shaking. You know what I'm saying? So these are the type of things you have to consider. But it is possible, but you have to be able to make up for that income. And like I said, there's things with our federal government to take from our check that's not just funding our military, but funding other political beliefs, other people believing that we don't necessarily agree. When they was doing the government shakedown and finding money was going to different communities that I don't particularly agree with in other countries, you know what I'm saying? And this is where our tax dollars were going. The same thing for our federal government. They take money from us. That happened under the last administration, of course, but this is where our money was going. And who knows? Some things still could be going. We don't know. But that's the thing about it. At least with property taxes, you know where your money going. But if get involved in your city council meeting, you can be more involved and see exactly where a direct record of where your money is going.
You go home for Thanksgiving and Christmas this year, ask grandma if she paid them property taxes. Ask grandma if she is up to date on them taxes. Make sure she is. And if she's not, y'all need to stop having dinner right there and crowd raise $700, because property taxes are somewhere between $700 to maybe $1,500, depending on where they live. But if they live in a place that is about to be gentrified or is already undergoing gentrification, the property taxes are going through the roof. So ask grandma if she paid them property taxes. Nothing is worse than a black person losing land they've lived on for years or generations. The family house being gone because the elder in the family forgets or can't afford to pay the property taxes. And it is the primary way that these companies, that these real estate moguls, that these bad actors come in and take land from black people that's been in our family for years, some people who live in these communities and build this high-rise apartment building. It's the primary weapon they use is they pay taxes for years in silence, or they buy that auction for a fraction of what it's worth because somebody forgot to pay the taxes.
And I'm gonna stop right there. And that's true. You know what I'm saying? Like it does do that. It happens to all communities, but a lot of times it did happen to the black community. I mean, just to be honest, but nowadays and today in 2025, there are black people, investors too as well. There's a lot of black investors. They have investor conferences and all different types of things of that nature, and they are doing it too. So the thing about it is that you have to. I would say if you have a senior citizen, you have grandma house or whatever, this, that, and the third. No matter what community that you in, be involved with your grandmother or your mother, your auntie, whatever. Your father, your granddad, uncle, whatever. Get involved with them and see how they're paying their property taxes. See if they're up to date on it, like he said. And really get involved in it. And also too as well, talk to your local city council, your local tax office, because they have exemptions for seniors. A lot of times with seniors and veterans and disabled people, they do have things where you do not have to pay a single penny on taxes. They do have that, but you have to see where the locality is. Now, $700 in property taxes, he said minimum. That depends on where you live at. That really depends on where you live at. Guys seen property taxes as low as $200, $300. Especially for a home that is grandma's home, because grandma's home is usually an older home, right? It's not updated. It's way outdated. This, and the third. Now, don't get me wrong. The property value will go up, but it's not going to go up to astronomical numbers of where the renovated or the new construction houses are at. And if there's a problem, you need to call the assessor's office and see what's going on, and see what the grade they have. Grandma house, big mama house at, pop's house at. So these are types of things that do happen on a daily basis, and they do buy them at auctions. Some people can't afford their homes anymore. Some people rushed into it. Some people forgot about it. Some people passed away. These are things that unfortunately they do happen. And we have to be out in front of it. So I'll always say whoever's in charge of grandma's estate, or that particular individual estate, do your due diligence. Make sure that they're paying, like he said. Get involved. Uh, Yeah, they talk about gentrification, but it's another way of revitalizing the neighborhood. Because even if you don't, even if yes, we've seen it happen with race. We can't be oblivious to it. But it's happened in all. I've seen it in all black communities where big mama house or whatever you want to call her, like she has her home or whatever. Grandma house, she has her home, and it's a black neighborhood. and other black investors come in and they seen these dilapidated houses, these houses that are shell homes boarded up because most people grandma passed away in the house and it's passed down to the family members and nobody taking care of the house and it's just it grows mold and it gets boarded up. And then an investor it can be I've seen it with black investors, a black investor will buy that house either on auction or either from the family member, flip it, renovate it, and then the house that's 3 or 4 houses down is other grandma's house that, hey, that nice house over there, they built it up and look real nice. Now her taxes is raising. It's still not raising to that rate of that new one, but it's raising because more other investors, and we can call them black too at the same time, because like I said, I've seen that happen before a lot, coming in there and they're trying to build wealth into their family. So it's a cycle. It's a cycle. It's been going on for a long time, and it used to happen a long time ago, very unjustly. But now we have ways to fight it a little bit more and to be educated. So, not saying nobody's not educated. I'm not saying that, but to be able to educate ourselves more, so we can be able to, file for exemptions and look at possible ways of selling the house. If we want to sell the house, do we want to put grandma or granddad a senior citizen facility that's nice? Grandma and granddad usually be like, look, I don't want to die in my home. I don't want nothing to happen. How can we make their living arrangements in their home better? Can we all source and build some income and be able to help grandma pay for her home? I've seen it where my family, my grandfather was live in Carolina, and I got 9 aunts and uncles, and everybody don't always have that. Um, 9 aunts and uncles, and everybody pitched in to be able to help my grandfather be able to continue his property taxes. And his property taxes were very low, like $200. So everybody just pension in 10 divided by what? 10 is what? Because it's 10 people. Whatever. I don't feel like doing the math right now. I think it's 20. But my thing is what I'm saying is that uh, you can pitch in, you can help. These things can happen. But the thing about it is you always have to be aware. Do your due diligence. And he's right. Everybody asks grandma what's going on. You paying your mortgage? Just check and see what's going on.
Top of the morning, gorgeous people. Y'all see this house behind me? The property tax bill when it just shot up over 80% this past weekend. I've been waiting for the bill. I knew it was coming down the pipeline, and I was just waiting to see what it was going to be. My property taxes shot up last year from $49.19 to $89.07. 49.19 to $89.07, y'all. That is a $332 a month increase in my mortgage just from property taxes. Insurance rates have been going up around here. I haven't seen the increase on that yet, but I know it's coming down the pipeline as well. The cheapest my mortgage has been here, I've been here 6 years. The cheapest my mortgage has ever been here was $1,005, which I know is a blessing. Most recently, in the past year and a half, my mortgage has been $1,120. And with now this new increase is soon going to rise to $1,452, which I know when a lot of people hear this, that is still a blessing. I'm understanding that a lot of people's mortgages are $2,000, $3,000, and $4,000. But when you go from $1,000 to $1,120 to $1,452, that's still that's a massive increase. And I know a lot of people are probably going to be thinking, hey, do a homestead, or that's illegal. They can only raise it 2 or 3% in a year. Well, unfortunately, there are no statewide regulations on mill rates or property tax percentage increases per year in the state of Connecticut. These people can do whatever they want. I don't know how, but they are, and obviously they can, because they're raising my property taxes 81%. But what this reminds me most,
I think he should. I think he should. That $300 increase is a little sketchy. It's a little funny. $300. That's a huge jump. Now, if you was going from 1,000 to 1,100, I'd be like, yeah, it's high, but understandable. But to go from 1,100 to roughly 1,500, like that's astronomical, crazy. Like, did you do some type of renovation to the property? Is the next question. That did you list the property for rent? Did anything come up to where the assessor's office caught wind of it because the value of your home increased, but by you implementing something with your house, that the value of your home increased? Because this is the thing that reflects the market. So if you bought your home at an average value for the low price and the home was needed a lot of renovations, like a roof, updated kitchen, but you updated all these things, and the assessor's office, they caught wind of it, and they applied the value, like, oh, your home is renovated. This is what caused your home to go up. So that's my gripe. I feel like people need to give that whole story, Not saying that's not his, not saying that's his story, but people need to give that whole story so we can get a breakdown of understanding what's happening. Because I do know it always feels unjust. It does feel unjust. Like where I live at, they do yearly assessments, and they just increase mines again by $4,000 or $5,000 as far as the assessment, which is going to cause my bill to go up couple of bucks, you know what I'm saying, a couple of like 10-20 bucks. But at the same time, they're lowering the tax rate, which means it's actually going to get reduced from the already amount for like 10, from the standard amount to $10 or $15 less than what I already pay currently. And that's a blessing because it's the property tax rate. That's what I said. Go to your city council meeting, call your assessor's office. Don't say they can just do whatever they want to do. Present some type of evidence to them so they can be able to help you out. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's not gaining nothing from doing this. I'm trying to tell people, like, nobody gains nothing from doing this. Everybody doing their job. You got to follow state law. State law is homes are assessed on ad valorem taxes. That is fair market value. If this home was to sell today, this was most likely what the home value, what the assessor's office believe it would sell for, based on the data and the sales that they have. Now you go see what the sales they have and see if it's comparable to yours. And you're like, yo, you compare my house to a house that does not look like mine. I don't have this roughly the same amount of square footage. It's lower. It's a lot lower. They come out to your property, you show them that. Long as you don't got no extra additions with your property and extra finished things and renovated stuff, and like that they don't already have, you know, that's what's good to call and see what the property record card, see what they got before you take that journey, you know. But make sure and you can always get it lowered if what they have is higher than what you have. You know, you have a lower value, but you got to make it make sense. You got to look at the comps in your area, houses that look like yours, call an appraiser, and get these things done, you know. But I'm gonna continue. Let's continue.
Stuff is never get comfortable. You can never get comfortable. Even if you got a great job right now and you think you make great income right now, you never know 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, these bills are not going down. They're only going up. So you may be comfortable now, but if you get a $500 increase, a $600 increase in your mortgage, a $200 increase in your insurance rates on your home, it may not be so comfortable anymore. So always be looking for more. And I really feel bad for the people who live in this town, the elderly, the retired, the people on fixed income, because they're not going to be able to afford and I don't have a big house. I promise you, this is a starter home plus in this town. This is a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square foot home. There are plenty of people with 2,500, 3,000 square foot homes in this town. I promise you, this is a starter home. I call it a starter home plus. So to pay $8,900 a year in property taxes on this house is insane to me.
You know, these types of things are very real. Like I said, for your veterans and disabled individuals and you know, seniors, they do have programs. A lot of localities do that. Go to a locality that has a low tax rate. Go to a locality that has a low property tax rate. You may have a higher assessment, but when you have a low property tax rate, you don't pay that much in taxes than somebody that has a lower assessment but has a high tax rate. Just the way it is. But I'll leave more information for that. You got any more questions about that? I got some videos dropping. I may even post it up if it's not up already. But I'll go by the name Mike the Property Tax Guy. Have a blessed day.